Okay, it was a crazy day today in the futures market, crazy end of the day and a crazy end to the week. And let's take a look and see how you would have traded it with prediction points. So, a couple of things to point out. I'm going to bring this screen so we can kind of see a more normal view of the market. So, a few things to notice here. You have these three CPs. Now, if you're new to prediction points, the blue lines on my screen are CPs. That's a critical price. And then we don't see any of them here, but if I move over here, we see these two white ones. The white ones are what we call KPs, or key prices. And the theory is the market moves from blue line to blue lines. We publish these prediction points at the beginning of Globex, or as close to that as possible. So they were available last night. So initially we actually talked about on a webinar yesterday that it'd be pretty likely they would come back here and test this 98.75. That was when the market was right around here, and then said this was very possible even here. They could come back and test that, but really big gap. So a couple of things to notice is that you want to notice how big the gaps are between prices. So these two prices close together like this, that is telling us we're likely in a bit of a range-bound market through here. And then not a whole lot of room to go between here, these two up here. Not a ton of room there. So when you come back up to here and you look right here, we have, these are fairly close together as well. If you remember, this would be a congestion zone. And when you break out of that congestion zone, you're going to run to the checkpoint. So we have a checkpoint on this other side, which would be the closest prediction point on the other side. So congestion and then checkpoint over here. And then congestion and then checkpoint over here. And you can see we got there in pretty short order. And then ended up running all the way up to here. So the way that we're looking at today, when this failed to come back here and test this, which is fine, I'm still not convinced that this will stay untested into the next week, but that's my own personal opinion and not the necessarily the prediction point methodology. I just could very easily see this coming back and getting tested. So we'll see how that ends up working out. So a couple of failed attempts here, and then obviously if you're trading in the Globex, there are questions, is this working Globex? Yes. So here you go. So if you wanted to, here's a short opportunity from 11, and that gets all the way down to 01. So about 10 points right there. I'm not saying you got all of that, but some of it. And then you could have shorted again, which I don't typically do. I don't really, I mean, in Globex, it's a little bit different. Probably going to get a little bit more of a, range type of scenario most of the time. So here's a breakout above the CPs. It holds here, 13, and that moved all the way up to 2150, and then came back here again. Here's another opportunity you could buy here. I mean, you could have sold here, could have bought here. There's a bunch of trades that are very possible in here, whether you're trying to scalp it or whatever you're trying to do. But just want to point out a couple of the other things. Ultimately, we had this failed attempt to come back and test here. We're holding here above this CP, and as long as we're holding above this CP, I mean, it really, the door's wide open for going higher. And we have these CPs here, but we failed right here to get up to there, which a lot of times this will happen. You'll get this move up like this, not quite get to the target here. It pulls back, gives you a chance to get in the trade, and then it will move up to the target. So here we came, we had 28 right there. The high right there is 2750. That's within 2 ticks. That's pretty close. So here was a great opportunity. This came just after the open right here. There was an opportunity to get long from 13 at least up to 23. So there's 10 points right there. It ended up going a bit more than that, about 14 or so points. Another opportunity to rebuy right here. This was 11. The low there was 10. So it broke this by 5 ticks. That's pretty good in my book. Even if you didn't get in right there, see it came right back over here. And this time we're looking for that push back to 28. We got that. We got all the way back to 34. So it came down here. I actually bought this right here when it came back here to 28, and then Took about 5 points on that one in front of 33. I wasn't sure if it was going to follow through right then. And then this was actually, I did not do this trade. I was long from down here in the middle of the prediction points. So this midpoint right here is usually a pretty significant area. So I was long from right here. I didn't flip it short right there. And then it came down. The midpoint here is about, I think, probably 0850, something like that. And so the low right there was 07 quarters, so about 5 ticks below the midpoint. And then really nice move up off of there. So midpoint there up to 2175. That's a pretty nice move. 14 or so points. And then this was when things just got crazy. So came down, failed to get any lower right here. The low was 0675. And then this thing just took off. Came up into here. Remember, this kind of a congestion zone that may have already played itself out with this and then all of what already happened here. And then once it broke, notice it broke out and then came back, and there's 28. It held 27.50. So held that top CP within a tick. And above this CP, we said easily back to here, probably here today. But ultimately, we had the CP up here at 63.50. So this held 28 and then moved all the way up here to 63.50. Pretty wild. A little bit, probed a little bit above that today. So pretty wild end of the day here, but hard to say this wasn't the trade of the day once we had this immense amount of buying. It pushed up to here, came back, held within 2 ticks right here, and then it was just off to the races right here up to 63.50. And this was a wild end of the day, a wild end of the week. So there you have it, all the way from 28 to 63. Pretty nice 35-point trade right there, going up to the target. And that's pretty much a typical day in the in the life of prediction points. That's pretty much what a typical day will look like. A couple of things to point out. Notice the gap here between 28 up to 39. So there's an 11-point gap. Good opportunity to trade there. And then notice how from 42 all the way up to 63, lots of room to run. And of course, this is forecasting there's going to be volatility up in this area. And of course, there was volatility up into this area. So pretty amazing stuff. And if you are on a trial prediction points or using prediction points, thank you for trying it out. If you're not using prediction points, you can click the link below here and go sign up for the trial. We're still offering that. The same deal that we offered with the webinar that we just did. So go get the trial. It's not just prediction points, it's the entire community. If you're not signed up for that, you're missing out. Go get signed up, and we'd love to see you there in the Discord community, and love to see you give prediction points a try and see if it's for you. And hopefully we'll see you in the Discord room on Monday morning.